What's going on, fam? It's your boy Mozy here, back with another episode of Mozy Reacts. On this episode of Mozy Reacts, I have a request from Solo Blue, who wanted me to react to a Timelapse of the Future, A Journey to the End of Time. So that's what I'm going to be reacting to today. But before I get into today's video, this is just a daily reminder that this is not a market substitute, and you should support the original creator of the video, Melody Sheep. Oh boy. Oh god.
The Holocene has ended. What we do now and in the next few years will profoundly affect the next few thousand years. The only conditions modern humans have ever known so far are changing, and changing fast.
Nothing stays the same on this planet. Everything changes. The Earth is going into one of these jumps, and you don't know what is going to be on the other side of those jumps. The Earth is always jumping. Things move on this planet.
Drastic sea level rises.
Everything is turning.
Super volcano eruption. New Hawaiian island appears? Like, Would it? The footprint disappeared. Would it, though? So this is, at the bottom, I keep seeing it's changing stuff. So is that like 6 million years into the future? Becomes a ring. I'm really confused. How? Are these just speculations, or are these like? How would they know that Mars is going to form a ring?
As it begins to run out of fuel, the sun won't simply fade away to nothing. Its core will collapse, and the extra heat this generates will cause its outer layers to expand. The sun is now dead. Its remains slowly cooling in the freezing temperatures of deep space.
30 billion years before the sun burns out? It's quite a long time.
The fate of the sun is the same as for all stars. One day, they must all eventually die, and the cosmos will be plunged into eternal night.
Would it though? Like, who's to say in 30 billion years another sun doesn't appear?
The temperature of the universe drops, the stars, one by one, in the night sky, will turn off. And there'll be no more new stars created.
Why?
And so that the universe will end not with a bang, but with a whimper. And not in fire, but in ice.
Like, I'm enjoying this video just because it's aesthetically pleasing, but how the hell are they able to predict what happens in 10,000 trillion years later? Like,
comes from the last residual heat from its extinguished furnace. Looking at it from where the Earth is now, it would only generate the same amount of light as the full moon on a clear night.
but why is that gonna stay? Why doesn't that burn out? Like,
The faint glow of white dwarves will provide the only illumination in a dark and empty void littered with dead stars and black holes.
In some ways, it's kind of a ghost universe. It's the corpses, the zombie stars, that will take us into the future.
see, now I'm just kind of like, how are they able to make this video right now, like 1 billion trillion years into the future? I feel like now we're just guessing at this point. It's not even somewhat scientifically plausible to guess this. I guess the reason I'm being so skeptical is, like, it's not even taking into factors of us discovering any other type of intelligent life. It's just, I feel like that could play a part in this.
A black dwarf will be the final fate of those last stars. White dwarfs that have become so cold that they barely emit any more heat or light. Black dwarfs are dark, dense, decaying balls of degenerate matter, little more than the ashes of stars. Their constituent atoms are so severely crushed that black dwarfs are 1,000,000 times denser than our sun.
Damn.
Stars take so long to reach this point, we believe there are currently no black dwarfs in the universe.
Then how do we know what a black dwarf is, and how do we know how dense they are if we've 5,000 trillion years? We have to be just making stuff up at this point.
We have a pace of life that's based on really the energy available to us now. You could imagine living conscious systems which have a very different pace and therefore can extend out at least a lot farther than you'd imagine otherwise. You could have a living system where if it had a thought every 10 trillion years, that would seem normal. Even if our life dies out, one could imagine at some time arbitrarily far in the future, a fluctuation occurs which allows intelligent life to exist again for a little while.
That's my point. So how are they able to make this video? Like, if things can just randomly happen like that.
Proton, one of the fundamental building blocks of atomic matter, of what makes us up, can just spontaneously fall apart.
Okay, so it's spontaneous, and how can we predict how it's going to react in 15 trillion years? Thank you for letting me know that basically everything I saw was speculation. I'm not meaning to hate on your video, Melody Sheep. I'm being very critical when I'm thinking right now.
Will eventually evaporate away and be carried off into the void as radiation, leaving absolutely nothing behind. With the black dwarves gone, there won't be a single atom of matter left. All that will remain of our once rich cosmos will be particles of light and black holes.
I wonder, can a black hole absorb another black hole?
The arrow of time creates a bright window in the universe's adolescence, during which life is possible. But it's a window that doesn't stay open for long. As a fraction of the lifespan of the universe, as measured from its beginning to the evaporation of the last black hole, life, as we know it, is only possible for 1,000th of a billion billionth of a percent.
Now that is fucking mind-blowing right there, because I believe that's true.
Black holes become the fundamental building block of the universe. A galaxy will basically be a supermassive black hole in a center with smaller black holes orbiting it.
Zombie galaxies filled with black holes continue to evolve.
They'll eat each other and they'll get bigger, and maybe they'll fall into the supermassive black hole and it'll get bigger. The universe will still be an exciting,
Okay, so
dynamic place.
black holes can eat other
It's
black
just that
holes.
The timescales you're talking about are now trillions of years instead of thousands or millions of years.
Trillion times bigger than the sun?
Black holes can bang on space-time like mallets on a drum.
$60,000 trillion years.
Imagine two black holes that have lived a long life together. At the end of their lives, they're going around each other, crossing thousands of kilometers in a fraction of a second. As they do so, they leave behind in their wake a ringing of space, an actual wave on space-time.
Maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand this stuff, because it just, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I'm just like, I feel like we're just BSing at this point.
Stretches as it emanates out from these black holes banging on the universe. Those are the gravitational waves. They are literally the sounds of space ringing. And they will travel out from these black holes at the speed of light as they ring down and coalesce to one spinning, quiet black hole. If you were standing near enough, your ear would resonate with the squeezing and stretching of space. You would literally hear the sound.
The person talking sounds like they were giving a speech, so I just want to know, like, how do we know this stuff about black holes? Like, space confuses me.
Imagine a lighter black hole falling into a very heavy black hole. The sound you're hearing is a light black hole banging on space each time it gets close.
So, like, have we observed this to know this, or are we just speculating?
Scientists used to think black holes were immortal, but even these will one day die.
Now we're talking about timescales of unimaginable length, quadrillions of years into the future. On that timescale, even the black holes begin to evaporate.
Like, we just haven't been around this long, so I just don't understand how we're making these assumptions for trillions of years. I can understand like a couple years being like, this is how it's going to act. But we're speculating that in trillions of years, we're going to know how black holes are going to react.
Particles that are constantly materializing in pairs, separating, coming together again, and annihilating each other. And so, black holes are not eternal. They evaporate away at an increasing rate until they vanish in a gigantic explosion.
But have we seen this? That's like where I'm like, so we're just guessing? We've seen this, then okay, no problems.
The ultimate prison, a black hole.
Like, have we seen black holes explode? That we know that black holes emit light when they explode, or are we just speculating based on? I guess another thing that really bothers me about this is then how are we speculating? That's kind of like my thing, is like we're speculating things that were happening trillions of years in the future, but we've only been like exploring space for decades now.
Philosophers and poets have asked the question, will the world end in fire or ice? We can now give an answer.
How?
The latest evidence shows that the universe is not slowing down, but it's speeding up out of control. And the universe, we think, will die in ice. Trillions upon trillions of years from now.
That's a bold assumption.
Has energy. In every little cubic centimeter of space, whether or not there's stuff, whether or not there's particles, matter, radiation, or whatever, there is still energy, even in the space itself. And this energy, according to Einstein, exerts a push on the universe.
What is the weird stuff that's accelerating the universe? We call it dark energy. And this stuff is the dominant stuff of the universe. Almost 3/4 of the matter energy content of the universe is this dark energy. And we don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is, but we're going to speculate on how it works and how it's going to affect the universe.
Energy, unlike matter or radiation, does not dilute away as the universe expands. This has crucial implications for what the universe is going to do in the future.
So what will be the future of the universe? Well, if the dark energy remains dominant and repulsive, the universe will expand forever.
I'm not gonna lie though, this video is very aesthetically pleasing.
A runaway universe.
70% of the energy of the universe resides in empty space, and we don't understand why. But we do know what will happen. If that energy continues to be there, the universe will become cold and dark and empty.
See, like that statement right there. We don't know, but we can guess if it stays. So
No, because we don't yet understand the nature of dark energy. Until we do, we won't know the future. We won't even understand our own origins, and that's why we want to know and study this subject.
So we don't know, but then how are we making these speculations?
Forecast does seem to be for an ever.
That, I think, is why I have such a hard time with these types of videos. A puzzle. We only have a couple puzzle pieces, yet we're assuming we know exactly what the image is going to look like. And it's just naive to think that way.
And there are ideas whereby what actually is the end of our universe could in some sense be linked to the beginning of a new one.
Did I read that right? They said we can escape the problem of like the universe by creating virtual realities. Like,
can concentrate tremendous amounts of energy at a single point. You can perhaps open up a gateway, a baby universe. Facing the death of everything there is, this perhaps is their only possibility of escape. And this also raises a very intriguing possibility, sheer speculation of course, that perhaps any universe that has intelligent life in it will create baby universes, will create lifeboats, and proliferate child universes.
reminds me of like the Futurama episode where the professor like makes boxes that have different types of universes in them.
May take place. So those universes which do not have intelligent life are infertile. They have no children. But those universes that have mild temperatures, stars like us, would create civilizations that could open up child universes, and they would then proliferate.
Again, we're assuming that life form needs what we need. There could be trillion years in the future. Life forms may need different things than what we need now. I'm just thinking now, and I'm just speculating. The law, if I remember correctly, the laws of matter is that matter cannot be neither created nor destroyed. So, even though it is explosions, why don't we just essentially create another Big Bang eventually? Like the Black Dwarfs, their energy somehow gets transferred somewhere else.
After an unimaginable length of time, even the black holes will have evaporated, and the universe will be nothing but a sea of photons gradually tending towards the same temperature as the expansion of the universe cools them towards absolute zero. Once the very last remnants of the very last stars have finally decayed away to nothing, and everything reaches the same temperature, the story of the universe finally comes to an end. For the first time in its life, the universe will be permanent and unchanging. Entropy finally stops increasing because the cosmos cannot get any more disordered. Nothing happens, and it keeps not happening forever.
Alrighty, well that was it for a time lapse into the future, and that was a hard video for me to watch. Just because I'm a very logical person, so like they did too much speculating for me to like take credit in what they were saying, I think is the word I want to use. Like if I had to like make a comparison, like if I compared their space travel to like medicine, okay? So like we've been doing space travel since like what, the 60s or 70s, I can't remember. So we've been doing it for about 60 or 70 years at most. We've been traveling the space, studying it and everything. But yet we're gonna go ahead and speculate what's gonna happen in like trillions and trillions and trillions of years, not knowing how things even work. Like they even said we don't have a black dwarf, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you how they work. Like if I had to use an analogy on how we're speculating it, it would be like back in like the medieval times, then being like, I understand how diseases work, and I can tell you exactly how diseases will work trillions of years into the future. And it's like, no, because medicine has changed severely, dramatically since then. So if I'm using that analogy now, based on the information we have now, it would be like someone back in like the Black Plague era being like, so this has been around for a couple of years. I think I understand how medicine works now. No. So that's where I'm coming from. Like they said so many times, we don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this very confidently. Like just a basic premise of like we as a human beings have not been around for trillions of years. So how can we possibly say how a star will act in trillions of years based off of just a small, like he said, human life was 0.000000000, however small that number was, and we're gonna take that small percentage and base our whole entire claim around. Like scientifically, it doesn't make sense to do that. So that's where it's very hard for me to wrap my head around this video. But I did appreciate the video. It was very aesthetically pleasing. I mean, the possibilities that they were presenting, I mean, at no point do I not think it could happen. It's definitely possibilities. I just don't like how vehemently, confidently they were saying like this is going to happen. That's where I think I got it, is that they were talking very matter of fact, and it's not matter of fact. But other than that, I enjoyed the video. I appreciate the work you did on the video melody sheet. You guys should definitely check out the full video. And then I do appreciate you guys just sticking around and watching this reaction. It's been real. It's been interesting. It's been real interesting later on.